It'll be one to go this time by. Coming to the green, buddy, coming to the green. Let's go get him. Go, 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 go.
Get your motor running. Head out on the highway.
Good afternoon, everyone. I have sitting here with me President of NASCAR, Mike Helton.
We wanted to stop by to formally announce what we've been telling the garages this morning regarding testing. We announced to all the National Series participants who are here, and we'll get the word to the others that are affected by this, that beginning January 1st of 2009, NASCAR is suspending testing in our 3 National Series, as well as the Camping World Grand National East and West divisions of NASCAR. We're doing this after a good deal of conversation that's been taking place since June regarding testing. That conversation, coupled with the continued turn of economic conditions, has led us to this decision that we've announced today. The particulars and some of the details regarding this move will be formulated more over the next 2 or 3 weeks, but there was an urgency we felt to tell the teams and the industry of the general decision to suspend testing before this weekend was complete, because come Monday morning everybody's focus will begin to be on 09. So that was the timing today to get that word out, we felt like was important. There's a lot of moving parts and pieces that go along with this, many of which will be more formalized over the next 2 or 3 weeks, but the important thing we felt was to get the general topic out there.
We're going to open it up to questions. Please state your name and affiliation. We'll start over here with Don Coble. How many mics we got? Couple?
Yes, Mike. Don Coble with Florida Times Union. Can you give us an idea on how much this might save teams? Do you have a ballpark figure of what this will save each team?
We don't know what the number is per team. We don't know what the collective number is for the industry. We do know, or have a pretty good feel, that through the due diligence that we've done, that this is in a range of tens of millions to the industry. When I say the industry, I'm talking about the garage areas all combined.
Mike?
Mike's, am I back on now? Okay. Mike's question was it the economic downturn that drove us to this decision? Came along collectively between the conversations that we began having with teams back at the end of June about how to go into testing in 09. And there were a lot of conversations that were being held about a lot of different options as that dialogue unfolded. Along the way, with the economic conditions turning the way they have turned recently, not just in our industry but worldwide, we began to think a month or so ago differently about testing as we were considering different options and different topics that we could look at in an effort to help the economic part of the sport collectively, from race teams, racetracks, and the other stakeholders in the sport. So it came, Mike, kind of get together.
Go ahead, Mike.
Mike Embry, NASCAR Scene. Mike, when in talking about this, did you you guys talk about the Daytona 500 and maybe an exception there because of the publicity run up toward the first race and the testing at that track. Was that talked about at all?
Yeah, there were a lot of variables that went along with this conversation. Of course, one of them was the typical preseason testing that goes on in Daytona, getting ready for speed weeks. The ultimate decision was that the best case scenario for this decision was no means no, and it be applied across the board for the entire season. We feel like there are other ways that we can promote the start of our season, that we can work with Robin Bragg and his folks in Daytona to promote speed weeks other than cars on racetracks. So the decision was that when it came to suspending the testing, that was across the board, and no meant no. But we do feel like there are other ways that we can launch the promoting of the 09 season without having cars on racetracks.
Jim?
Jim Utter, Charlotte Observer. Mike, this kind of goes along with that question. When you say no means no, teams, there seems to be some confusion that teams can still test at tracks that NASCAR does not host events at. And the question is that because some people think that's because you guys allow that, or is that because you don't have the power to enforce teams from going to places where you don't sanction races?
I think it's typical for NASCAR's reaction or the big decisions to be realistic when it comes to the enforcement of it. The suspending of testing is broadened in 09 as it captures and makes inclusive all tracks that NASCAR has a relationship with, all of the series that are having testing suspended. The Craftsman Truck, the Nationwide Series, the Sprint Cup, and the two Camping World East and West Grand National divisions. That takes in a pretty good community of racetracks because of the relationships we have. The sanction agreements with our racetracks calls for the track to agree to abide by NASCAR's test policy. So that includes racetracks in the enforcement of the policy. Beyond that, it's more challenging, if not impossible, for us to have an enforcement element that we can lean on or utilize. So that's basically where we've always stopped, to limit it to the tracks that we have relationships with, as well as teams that we have relationships with.
Bob?
Mike, over here. Bob Margolis with Yahoo Sports. How much of the decision was based on a perception issue to make sure that not only the sponsors, but that the sporting world itself realized that NASCAR wasn't just blind to the difficulties that were going on? I mean, this sport has really experienced unprecedented growth over the last decade or so, and now it's being affected. Was there a perception issue that you maybe discussed before you made the decision?
I don't think there was much to this around perception. I think most of this decision is around real. This is testing is a real element. The cost attached to testing is a real element. The cost of racing, any form of motorsports, is expensive and has different elements that come with it. So this decision was made based on, I think, the culmination of all of those real elements. And I think it also falls in line with NASCAR's goal over the last few years to do major things that it can do and has the ability to affect by making changes around, be it a single engine rule, be it limiting tires or different things that we have done, and this falls in line with that. Now, this is a much more major decision and very significant, but I think it's warranted based on the significant times that we've got in front of us. But to answer your question, I think most of this decision was made purely on real elements that are out there.
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports.